Welcome to part 3. There is a specific moment, usually around 3 in the afternoon, when an AI coding agent stops feeling like a colleague and starts feeling like a slot machine. You ask for a change. Hard. It produces something plausible. You squint at it, unsure it works, and ask for another. The session has become a swamp, and you cannot point to the moment it happened. That moment is not a model problem. It is a workflow problem. The difference between developers who feel genuinely accelerated and developers who feel mildly annoyed is almost never the cleverness of their prompts. It is the routine they run underneath the prompts. This chapter is that routine written down. H2. Here is the claim, stated plainly. The first 10 minutes of your workday with Claude Code are the only minutes worth scripting. The middle should stay context dependent, because real work is messy and a rigid script would get in the way. But the opening 3 minutes and the closing 2 minutes are identical every day, and getting them right pays compound interest. The middle is fluid, the bookends are fixed. We will walk through all 3 movements: the 3-minute morning re-anchor, the working loop that fills the day, and the 2-minute end-of-day cleanup. None of it is hard. All of it compounds. Most developers who feel mildly annoyed by Claude Code are missing the bookends, not the prompts. Here is the day as a timeline. 3 minutes of setup, a working loop that fills the day, and 2 minutes of cleanup. The bookends are identical every day. The middle changes with whatever you happen to be building. That is the whole structure. The mistake most developers make is leaving the bookends to chance, and then wondering why their 3 p.m. session is a swamp. Script the start, script the end, and the middle takes care of itself. Open your terminal in the project you will be working in. Then, in this exact order, do 3 things. First, re-anchor in the project. Open Claude.md and skim it. Not because you have forgotten it, but because reading it primes your own brain for the conventions you are about to enforce on the agent. Confirm the build, test, and lint commands are actually listed. Run git status to see the working tree before Claude does, and glance at git log to remember where Friday you left off. Second, run/memory. This shows every memory file loaded for the session, plus the toggle for auto memory. Check 3 things. Are the rules you expect loaded? Is auto memory on? And is anything loaded that you did not expect? Third, decide the shape of the day. Not in detail. One session is the default. Several work trees if you are doing 2 independent things. An agent team for parallel research. Knowing the other 2 exist is the win, even on days you do not use them. The last morning decision is whether to plan before you code. If today's first task is non-trivial, meaning anything that touches more than 2 or 3 files or makes an architectural decision, start in plan mode. Press Shift-Tab until the status bar reads plan, or prefix your first prompt with /plan. Claude will research, propose an approach, and ask before touching anything. The 30 seconds you spend reading that plan saves the 20 minutes you would otherwise spend rewinding the wrong implementation. For anything bigger than half a day, like a real feature or a migration, do not start in your main session at all. Write a spec to disk first, commit it, then open a fresh session to execute it. We will cover the full interview to spec workflow in part 4. The point right now is that the morning includes a planning decision, not just a coding decision. The rest of the day is one pattern, repeated as many times as needed. 5 deliberately simple steps. First, state the next thing in 1 sentence. Add a rate limit header to the public API endpoints. Do not pre-design it. Second, let Claude propose. In default mode, it asks before editing. In plan mode, it writes a plan. In accept edits, it edits and shows you the diff. Match the mode to your confidence. Third, verify before moving on. Run the test, read the diff, check the screenshot, eyeball the lint output. Never accumulate unverified changes. Fourth, note anything you learned. If Claude got something wrong twice, that is a Claude.md edit. A shell command run 3 times is a hook. A prompt typed twice is a skill. Fifth, move to the next thing. Continue in the same session, or run/clear if the next task is unrelated. That is the whole loop. Everything else is detail about keeping it clean. Here is the working loop drawn out. State, propose, verify, note, advance. Verification feeds back into the loop, so drift is caught the moment it happens, not at the end of an afternoon when you have 50 bad changes to back out. The loop is also the place where context discipline lives. State the thing in 1 sentence, not 3 paragraphs. Let Claude propose without pre-designing for it. Verify before approving. Note the lesson before it fades. Advance with intent. 5 steps. None of them complicated. All of them compounding. The biggest source of session degradation is letting unrelated side trips into the main conversation. While you are at it, can you also look at that other thing? 5 of those, and your context window is a swamp. Yes, 3 commands keep the main thread doing the main thing. /btw followed by a question is for ephemeral side questions. The what was that config file again? Moments. The question and answer never enter conversation history. .tar. They appear as a dismissible overlay. /fork, alias, /branch duplicates the current conversation into a new session with the same history. The original is preserved. Use it to try a different direction without losing what works. /rewind or pressing escape twice undoes edits and rolls the conversation back to an earlier checkpoint. The pattern is easy to remember. BTW means answer me without spending context. Fork means try an alternative without losing this one. Rewind means actually back up. Here is the hygiene as a state diagram. The main thread is at the center. /btw shoots off to a transient overlay and comes back without leaving a trace. /fork creates a parallel session you can return to via /resume. /rewind walks the main thread itself back to a previous file checkpoint. Each command is about keeping the main thread on the main task without losing the work that came before. Term, each, termins. Use them on purpose. The minutes you save by not polluting context become hours over the course of a week. This is the habit that compounds harder than any other. The first time something happens, it is a one-off. The second time, a pattern. The third time, you have wasted enough effort to justify writing it down. Do not wait until end of day. The friction is the signal, and the signal fades fast. 3 categories, 3 destinations. A fact every session needs goes in Claude.md. The auth service uses RS-256 JWTs. All API errors return unknown shape. Open the file, add the line, commit. A fact that only matters for certain files goes in a path scoped rule under .claude/rules with YAML front matter declaring the paths it applies to. No, this is the move you make when Claude.md is getting fat. A procedure you trigger by name goes in a skill. The trigger for creating one is simple. You type the procedure twice. Do not type it a third time. Generate the skill. Here's the promotion logic as a flowchart. Did you repeat a fact, a workflow, or a command? A fact for everyone lands in Claude.md. A fact for a slice of code goes into a path-scoped rule. A personal preference belongs in auto memory or Claude.local.md. A procedure you trigger by name becomes a skill. A shell command that always runs after the same event becomes a hook. Each path has a destination. The work is not in inventing the destination. The work is in noticing the repetition and routing it before the day ends. Part 10. The biggest unforced error in long sessions is doing all the reading in the main thread. Claude reads 20 files to locate one function, your context window absorbs the cost of every one of them, and your main session is 20 files heavier for the rest of the day. The fix is to delegate the reading. E4. For find the file that does X, or check whether anything uses this deprecated pattern, or review this PR for obvious problems, spawn a subagent. The subagent works in its own context window, reads as many files as it needs, and returns a roughly 400 token summary to your main thread. Your context stays untouched. 2 built-in subagents do most of this work. Explore is the go read things and tell me what is there. Agent. Plan powers, plan mode, and produces a proposed plan instead of a research summary. Invoke them by name, or just say explore the codebase for X and Claude will pick the right one. Full. Here is a mind map of the work that belongs in a subagent's context, not yours. Exploration of unfamiliar code. Verification of 100 test suite. APR. Review across many files. Hunting for a deprecated pattern. Reading API documentation. Each one of these would otherwise pile thousands of tokens onto your main thread. Delegated, each one returns a clean summary. The habit to build is the recognition. If a prompt would add more than a few thousand tokens of file reads to your context, it belongs in a subagent. Make the call before you send the prompt, not after you have already paid the cost. AIW, this is the highest leverage habit in the entire routine. Tests, screenshots, lint, and type checks belong inside the loop, not bolted on at the end. The moment Claude proposes an edit, your next move should be to verify it. A. Run the test. Check the screenshot. Read the diff. A. Then approve and move on. Without verification, an AI coding agent can drift for an hour producing plausible code that does not actually work. With verification at every step, drift gets caught the moment it happens, when you have one bad change to back out instead of 50. In Anthropic's own team say it bluntly, giving Claude a way to verify its work is the single highest leverage thing you can do. To automate it, wire a post tool use hook on edit or build a /ship skill skile. But you do not need automation to start. Type, run the tests after every meaningful change. The habit is what matters. 2 minutes of cleanup at the end of the day. Skip this at your peril. Next morning's, what was I even doing? Tax is real and expensive. First, look for half-finished edits. Run git status to see the dirty files. If anything is in a half-done state, finish it, revert it, or commit it with a WIP prefix and a clear comment about what is broken. A. Do not leave the repo in a state where tomorrow you cannot tell real work from artifact. Second, run /memory and skim what Claude saved today. Promote anything worth keeping. A whole project fact goes in Claude.md. A fact for a slice of the codebase goes in a path scoped rule. A personal preference goes in Claude.local.md. Part 2. Not tree. 2. Third, kill stale sessions and work trees. The goal is one clear handoff, not 7 entry points. Fourth, leave one note for tomorrow, you and 2do.md, or a git stash message. 30 seconds of writing saves 10 minutes of reconstruction. You do not have to adopt the whole routine at once. Pick the smallest of these 3 actions you have not done yet, and do it before you close this article. First, promote one thing from chat into Claude.md. Find a correction you have given Claude twice. Add it as a bullet. Commit. The next session will not repeat the mistake. Second, run /context once. Look at where your tokens are actually going. AI. There will be a surprise. A hook dumping huge output every turn. A Claude.md that has crept past 200 lines, or a single early file read that ate 15% of the window. The fix is usually obvious the moment you see the cost. Third, build your first skill with the bundled skill creator. Do not handwrite the YAML. Install it from the official marketplace, then ask Claude to turn the prompt you keep retyping into a real skill on disk. 3 actions, 15 minutes total. Each one converts a recurring tax into a permanent saving. It is tempting to believe that getting more out of an AI coding agent is a matter of finding better prompts, some secret incantation. It is not. The developers who are genuinely faster are not better prompt engineers. They are better at the boring parts. Anchoring before they start, keeping the main thread clean. Capturing what they learn, verifying as they go, handing off cleanly at day's end. That is the whole daily routine. 3 minutes in, 2 minutes out, and a working loop in between that you keep clean on purpose. Next time, in part 4, we cover planning, specs, and task tracking. And the chapter for anyone who reached for get stuff done or superpowers and did not know Claude Code has the equivalent built in.